Oh, I hope you guys had a good break, kind of like us. We looked over, what's been going on with our team and our defense. And, the thing that's most apparent to us right now is we got them playing together. We got them playing hard. And at critical times, they're producing. The other thing that, I'm really encouraged about is we got a heck of a coaching staff, and our offensive staff. It's a great staff, and we work together. But just talking defensively, to have the kind of teachers we have and the guys are connecting with our players and the task to win every week is so great that you need everybody on board. And I know I got a lot of help. So I like that. And the way our players are dialed in each week, it's really helpful. This Arizona team, it's as skilled of a team as you'll play against. They're getting back Hopkins again in his second game. He came back on a short week. He gives a spark to their team. They're a little bit different with him, their confidence-wise and so forth, and they had a heck of an outing last week. So, we'll adjust. There's skill all over. They got really good runners, Connor. They're really, really, really good, and they run hard. The quarterback is very skilled, as we know, and he gives you that dual threat.
You mentioned the coaches working together. Do you have different personalities for different personality of players? Like different personality coaches for different personalities of players?
No. Yes and no. When you collect your guys, then you see how they all fit together. And we have a lot of guys that play off each other. I really like it on a staff when offense and defense is together and we can go to each side to get perspectives. We have that. And part of that, is just what Kevin put together here. But then within your staff, I've talked to some of our guys and you have your own opinions of them, but you need a balance and you need guys that can offset each other and me. So I hope I'm answering your question. But I love the differences of coaches. We don't want everybody the same, and they can't be, so don't try to make them that way.
Did you come away from your self-scout thinking that maybe there were, notable adjustments that need to be made, or that it's just a familiarity and execution?
Yeah, you got to look at all the years. You got to look at that you're new, and then you try to look at some trends that might be happening. And then you also got to know every time you put in a system, the uniquenesses of your players, present all your schemes differently. And I'm learning and assessing that as it's going on.
And yesterday, Kevin was saying that he wanted to greenlight Patrick Peterson, I think the phrase he used, to be more competitive at the line of scrimmage. I was wondering what what that will look like or what that means in your mind in terms of what Patrick was doing and what's he going to be doing moving forward.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, which might be referring to, but we want our guys to challenge, and deny the ball, and we want to cut down some of the gains people are making.
You've obviously seen Harrison Smith and faced him from the other side. I just wonder, working with them as closely as you have, what stood out most about him on the field and in the room?
Yeah. He's just so accountable and so tough and so real, and if you look down through my career, I've just been able to get connected with some really special guys. There's Hall of Fame guys, and he's another one of those guys, that they just, there's just a uniqueness to him. And you guys have witnessed it more than I have, but to actually talk with a guy and see how deeply rooted he is to team and how respected he is, he brings a lot.
Just to get back to Patrick 1 second, I know that the term press man might be outdated or overused, but are there times, or do you want sort of a cornerback to line up right in front of a receiver and do that?
Yeah,
does there need to be a certain coverage or alignment called, or is that just up to them, or how does that work?
How we present our looks is week to week, and down to down and situations, So there's a plan with that, and that will vary.
And where would you say your pass rush is? I mean, you guys have had your moments, but consistently, is it there?
Yeah. I don't know if you evaluate it, whether it's there or not. We just know we have it. We have it. We have the guys, and we can count on them. We've talked about, one of the good elements of a good team or a good defense is you got to have some guys who can close out the game, because you can't always be bringing extra people, and you're going to need to play rush and coverage, and we have those guys. And you know, the story will be told. We're still early. We're still learning our combinations, but I really like what we have.
How do you balance, you know, like rotating guys to keep them fresh, but also pass rushers that typically they want to get in a rhythm more? You know, how do you judge, you know, when to rotate guys?
Yeah, that's where we have, you know, our coaching staff, and we'll talk about a plan before a game goes, but then, you know, you get to a game and a lot of things can go out the window, and there's adjustments and so forth. But, you know, that's where, you know, Chris Rump and Mike Smith, you know, they have a feel. They've seen a lot. And, you know, we were down at Miami, and we played a lot of plays early in that game, and that's not really a good recipe, you know, to being strong at the end. And it's really credit to our players. You know, there's one stat really missing in that game, and that was the toughness of how those guys hung down the line. They were called on to play a lot of plays in a lot of heat, and it was different for our guys. And we were down DJ Wanham too. You know, we're down a guy that's usually in that rotation, but really pleased with how hard those guys battled and to win that football game. Really impressive.
You guys picked up Ben Whitley during the bye week. What can you say about him?
Yeah, you know, he's a young player, you know, that has some rush traits. You know, our personnel department is, you know, they're never sleeping. You know, they're just going to comb and turn over rocks and look for guys with traits and present them to us and see what we can do with them and make an assessment there.
How do you prepare for a team that like functionally added 2 receivers in season, pretty close to when you're going to play them with Hopkins and Ronnie Anderson?
Yeah, good question. You have to forecast. You got to go back and see, you know, what did the history say before? You know, what was his role? They also lost a receiver. You know, does he replace him? You know, and so forth. But people move people around enough today in today's game that you know, we're well versed in adjusting to where guys are going to line up if they would change.
You had Jared at the end, toward the end of his career.
What's that?
You had Jared Allen at the end, toward the end
Yeah.
of your career, end of his career.
Yeah.
How did he, you know, he was the, you know, hand in the dirt edge rusher. Did he play outside linebacker in that system? And how did he adjust to it?
Yeah, and you know, some of this is the early downs, and the game is so much nickel. We'll play some 5 down, you know, versus some 3 wides. You know, we still do that. But it really isn't that much different. He was doing a lot of what you want to say nickel 4-2 alignments. So it was really about his ability and where he was in his career. He got all the same opportunities, but he's smart. He was a smart guy, so he picked it up pretty quickly.
He's going in the Ring of Honor, and yet another Vikings pass rusher is going to go in that ring.
Yeah.
All of them have, you know, have their own styles and everything over the years. But all the great ones you've been around, what's maybe the one trait that they all have?
You know, it's that 1 second when they get right to that tackle. That's what makes them different. They get off and they get into that tackle, and then it's when they touch what happens. And all the great ones, something's going on then. When
Kevin talked a little bit yesterday about like kind of the challenges and benefits of having a quarterback spy and what that means for the rest of your defensive players. What are your thoughts on that, especially as you face a quarterback like Kyler Murray, and then maybe what have you seen from Brian Asamoah in the few snaps that he's done that?
Yeah, you know, Brian's done a good job, and his role, you know, is expanding, and he won't be the only guy. You know, we have different people that have that role, but there's times when you have to layer your rushes and have a second guy when you're pressuring, to handle him, because he can make the first guy miss many times. So it takes a variety of things. If you do any one thing, they'll adjust. They know that you're doing these kind of things. He's one of the harder tackles in this league. You know, the guy to get on the ground and extremely instinctive, you know, when the play unfolds.